and good night. Welcome back to the It's Just Us podcast. We are in season 4, episode 5. This will be our last episode going through one of our newer books called Your God-Given Dream, How to Pursue, Chase, and Acknowledge God All the Way Through. Today we'll be starting off like we have the past few videos, just this new season. We're trying something new. We're going to continue it in the next season. We're going through Breakthrough. I'm Still Here. Probably our newest release, I believe, came out late last year. We haven't had any new releases this year, but expect some next year. We have a journal, not really a journal, kind of a workbook, a 7-day workbook evaluating our walk with God. And if someone were to watch us for 7 days, would they get closer or further away from God? Would they advance or would they be stagnant? And then we also have When Disciples Fall, which we're planning to have come out sometime in the summer, just talking about what do we do when it gets hard to follow God and when we don't understand what he's doing, comparing Judas and Peter in their approaches to failure, approaches to misunderstandings, and approaches to just life in general. So I'm excited to share those with you as we progress, but I just want to give you a heads up. These things are coming out next year. The workbook is called Karam Deo, and that means before the face of God. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. Today we're starting off with yet another poem. It is called All Said and Done. This was written actually 2 days or so after our last post. So this is a poem just talking about when it's all said and done, what do I expect to see? What am I hoping for? So all said and done. When it's all said and done, I don't want to look at the past and say what a blast, when I know I have an eternal future ahead of me. When it's all said and done, I don't want to look at the sun and say there's nothing new, but this is a surprise to me. Golly, I can't talk today. When I know that every day was like action cut and seen. When it's all said and done, I don't want to whisper I could have done more, when I have all the time I need. When it's all said and done, I don't want to guess what the Lord will say, when I know I've done my best and stayed the course. When it's all said and done, I don't know what to expect. I don't know the scene. I couldn't tell you the smells, but I bet they'll be fresh, sweet with love and anticipation. A son and his father now sharing the same habitation, one world, one nation. I'm not worried about the end. I'm worried about how I'm preparing, because in me, when it's all said and done, I'll be brand new. I won't be bound to old views and skewed images of the perfection we sold short. I won't mourn what I lost, because I know the temporal things I possess are nothing compared to what awaits when I rest. When it's all said and done, one thing I know is I'll be blessed. Blessed to see my Maker, my King. What a sight. But that's right. When it's all said and done, there's only one place I want to be. I want to be close, near, at your feet. When it's all said and done, it's not about me. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. So yeah, I can't talk today, as you can see. But that was All Said and Done. You'll be able to read it in the caption below once we're done posting, if you want to read it for yourself. To me, it's just encouraging to know that there is a future waiting for us. Like, this life is great. You have a lot of things we can experience and see, but it's nothing like a life with Christ. And when we have that expectant hope to one day be with him in the air, to be in heaven with him, to walk on the new earth and new heaven, I think that just having that thought process in mind, that when it's all said and done, when I've lived my life here, it's not the end. There's more. And I want that more to be with my Maker. I want that more to be with my Father. I want that more to be with God, my Creator. I want that more to be with the one who loved me when nobody else could or did. I want to be with him in eternity, and that is my eternal goal, and I pray that's your goal as well. And that's what we're going to encourage you to do, is keep pursuing, keep seeking, keep searching and longing for God and connecting with him, because we're going to be seekers here. We're going to be people that go out of our way to go the extra mile to be in his presence. Today in Your God-Given Dream, I will be reading from chapter 9, titled Purpose. And I've probably already read this one before too. Sometimes I don't even know what I read. And I just go wherever I feel led to go. And this one stood out to me. It's a short chapter, so this video will be shorter. And it's fine because it's just going to lead us into the next video, which would probably just be me sitting down, talking to you guys, giving you a recap of everything we talked about and going from there. But chapter 9, Purpose, page 93. It says, it's hard to stay confident when we live in a world that's constantly changing. It's hard to stay consistent when results seldom show their face. It's hard to keep a smile when everything seems to be falling apart. It's hard to admit that help is a beneficial friend to have. It's hard to look yourself in the mirror at the tired, exhausted, yet hopeful reflection smirking back at you saying, you've got this. Dreaming is hard. Having faith is hard. Remaining consistent is hard. To me, all these things at once are impossible to hold on to. They thrash and writhe like kids on a leash that just won't clip. They reduce to stay in line without discipline. Discipline for what cause? Obedience. How do I, regardless of the situation, struggle, and hassle, apply discipline to these purposes, to these variables, Purpose. Why do I do what I do? For me, why am I writing this book for you? To help you see that your God-given dreams are possible and there's a way to do it with the utmost return. To encourage you to keep going even when things don't make sense. I write to serve you and to serve my purpose in God's ranks. I want you to know that God is the best way. Success isn't about what's gained, and greatness lies in the acts outside of me. It's bigger than that. The kingdom benefits from the words on this page. It benefits from you taking action. It benefits from you taking a chance on your God-given dream, but why? Because everything you do matters. Everything has meaning and purpose, no matter how small the occasion. Just a simple hello can change the trajectory of somebody's day. So can your chance cause a new wave. But why? Because God wouldn't give you something that didn't matter. He's intentional with everything he says and does. He doesn't lack concerning us. Why do you think in Proverbs it explains how if we would commit, trust, and acknowledge God amongst other things, he would take lead? He will direct our paths. He will order our steps. He will prepare a way for us, establish our thoughts. He intends to build with what we give. And we, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God, have a responsibility to uphold. Like I said in chapter 1, we have to give it up to him. Why? Because he knows what he wants it to become and will give you the path to fulfill it. Any good author knows that for every story there's a plot, including either dynamic or static characters. And depending on which type of character you choose to be, the results are as clear as black and white. If in the beginning, the exposition, you're lazy, okay, you have room to grow. If in conflict, you're still lazy, we have work to do. If in the rising action, you remain the same all the way until the climax when you want to try but are too lazy to, we have a problem and there will be no resolution. This is the arc of a static character. Though they serve a purpose, it is often the role of one who is compared to the protagonist. Some may argue the static characters are good. Say, they're consistently working hard throughout the story and the attitude never changes. Though their attitude doesn't change, something does, which transforms them into a dynamic or changing character. A dynamic character has two arcs. We've seen the arc of the static character, but a dynamic character usually starts low and ends high. Something about them isn't at its fullest potential, and it won't be until the story ends. Dynamic characters are often uptrending characters, meaning they will grow in a positive way throughout the length of the story. The exposition sets them up for the conflict, which makes them stronger as they prepare for the rising action, which prepares them for the climax into the portion of peace, the falling action, and resolution. They are, in a nutshell, always improving. If they get knocked down, they grow. If they're raised up, they grow. Dynamic characters usually always have a sense of purpose, a reason to keep growing. Some would argue that the purpose is their dream, but no. The dream has to have a purpose behind it, also to drive someone to the declaration of growth. These characters will be considered the protagonists. Their dreams often benefit others more than themselves, which gives their pursuit depth, greater purpose, and authority, hence why they're marked the hero. The same applies to the opposing dynamic character, the antagonist. Antagonists aren't born, they're created. It's something I've heard many times, and I agree. Antagonists in generic stories start off with horrible upbringings, loss, depression, anxiety. Some kind of conflict that they couldn't handle occurred even in the exposition of their life. They can't control these plot points, but they can control their response. Most antagonists want to be understood or haven't healed from old wounds, so they choose to take their anger and frustration out on those around them, namely the people who use their plot points to grow in beneficial things. They can't stand the corny act, though they sulk in tar. The number one struggle of an antagonist is the battle for recognition. They want to be powerful, but instead of choosing to grow, they regress throughout the entire story, careening toward darkness unless they're saved or killed by a protagonist. Antagonists aren't born, they create themselves and blame others. They rarely seek to make healing their conflict, help their rising action, and change their climax to resolution. No one likes a story like that, so regressing dynamic character is the next best thing. An antagonist's purpose is often self-serving and linked to destruction. Some heroes have the same story but use their horrible exposition and conflict to help others. They don't want to see their beginning repeated in someone else's life. If they can be a supply of hope, they will be. Are you a dynamic A, protagonist, or B, antagonist, or are you static? You can't answer this without knowing your why. You can't answer this question until you evaluate how you respond to the conflict, handle the rising action, and endure the climax. You can't answer this question until you begin. God assigns dreams to a particular need. That need could be assistance in living, cleanliness, education, or something far greater. But if it's from God, it's for His glory, not yours. You may think you have to do this or that to reach a certain pedigree for God to claim your dream as His, or at least for you to acknowledge that it is. But no, He's over the dream from beginning to end. He doesn't set a marker and say, reach this point and I'll accept it as mine and then I'll help you. He doesn't operate on our level. Earthly treasure is of no value to Him. Every God-given dream is linked to someone's soul. This is my belief. You can help somebody find Him through what He's given you to do, no matter how big or small it seems. So many people think that ministry or a podium is the only way to change lives for Christ. But in reality, it's your life that makes the difference. People will recognize the way you live before they acknowledge your words. Don't let others belittle the work you've been assigned because it doesn't seem as grand as theirs. Jeremiah 17:10-11 says, I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways, and the fruits of his doings. As the partridge sitteth on the eggs, and hatcheth them not, so he that getteth riches, and not by right, shall leave them in the midst of his days, and at his end shall be a fool. If you know why you do what you do, what others say in a negative light doesn't have any power. If you rely on God's promises and His words about you being a faithful steward of what He gave you, you have nothing to worry about in regards to bearing the fruit of your dream or labor. The most difficult season of a God-given dream is the exposition and conflict. They will assess and try your why. If your why isn't strong enough, you will fall. But that doesn't mean you can't get back up. You will fail your hopeful standard in the beginning. But when you fail, you have an opportunity to deepen your cause. Failure is not a result. It's a test. You can't succeed without it. Are you willing to suffer for a cause that's greater than you? Jesus suffered for the cause of our souls, which he deemed greater than his flesh. I don't like saying this, but as I've grown in my relationship with God, he revealed to me that someone needs what I do. My why became more than just serving God, which is the greatest, but it became to serve all creation, to help those who don't have a voice to speak, share stories that connect and change lives. My why, the reason I keep working no matter what, the reason I show up every day, talk to God and study his word is because someone else needs what God has given me. Just as Pharaoh needed a man who could handle the prophetic cause of his dream, Joseph was there. Someone may need me. This is why you, my fellow dreamer, can't hide. Your purpose is to shine, especially as one of God's people. You have a call to be a light in this generation and the next. Whether God gives you a specific purpose or not, know that your light must shine. Your life must display Christ on every level. You are accountable for your dream. You are accountable for your why. When that why is established, you are responsible for pursuing it as God leads you. He will guide you to your why if you give him the space and the time. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. And in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." Matthew 5:14-16 says, "Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it over a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." The vitality and story of your God-given dream rests in your God-given why. Acknowledge God with purpose. Mean what you believe, and live a life with Christ on full display that he may receive the glory. To help someone see who it is that you serve. Why? So that was chapter 9, purpose, talking about the why behind your dream. And I feel like we talked about this throughout the past few episodes, just talking about how deep and how important our dreams are. And the fact that God gives them to us is a significant indicator that there is value to them. Like, it's not just a whimsical thing. Like, you don't just think, oh, I should try this one day, and it's just meant for nothing. Sometimes God gives you ideas for a reason that you don't know yet, but if you try, it transforms your life. And since it's the end of the year, I feel like I could share this story. Last year, 2024, I went on my first mission trip. I went to the Dominican Republic. I was there for 8 days, and we built a church. We helped build a church out there. And while we were out there, we encountered a lot of different people. Just talked to a few. I don't speak Spanish fluently, but I'm learning Spanish. So it was really cool to see different cultures, to see how they value community versus how we value community, to see the different structures and how some were fully developed and others were underdeveloped, and some were put together but not finished. It was just crazy. Like, the environment was different. It was entirely different to me. And while I was there, I remember a year before that, like not even a year before that, because I just started coming to the church I go to now, I had a conversation in a hotel room with my brother and one of our friends, and he said something that caught me. It was, how can I go to the nations but I can't reach my neighbor? And that stuck with me the entire time I was in the DR. And while I was there, God began to deal with me about doing something in my city. And I didn't at first. It took me a while. Like, oh, wow. Like, I had that idea back in February, and it didn't actually get started until August. And it's called the Winning West Bend Movement Bible Study, whatever you want to call it. But we started this thing called Winning West Bend. And this started off as just a simple vision, a simple desire to win my city, because I have felt in my heart that God was dealing with me about the souls here. Like there are people at home that need the gospel. And this year alone, this is the first time we did our group Bible study. We've been focusing on one-on-ones throughout most of the year, and God has greatly multiplied. And we've seen so much happen this year alone, like people being touched by God, people being healed, people's lives being changed. I got to baptize 3 of my students that I was able to work with for a long time, and I've never felt more fulfilled than being able to join somebody on their journey with God. And I feel like if I didn't take a chance on that vision, on that God-given dream, because it is my God-given dream to see my city saved, to see my city on fire for God, to see the young adults here come back to Him, seeking Him, lifting their hands, worshiping Him, loving Him. That is my passion, that is my desire. And these books have shown and proven to be something of a tool that God wants to use to help them. And I didn't know this at first. Like I didn't realize until after I started teaching and like fully buying into this other part of the dream that He was connecting me to the audience. Those of you who are starting your journey, those of you who are thinking about starting your journey, those of you who are hungry to go deep in your journey, that's what these books are for. They're not for the relatively seasoned people, but they're for people who are starting out and who just need encouragement. And I just realized, like, man, God is working through this. And I've seen and been able to work with over 50 people this year, 50 different people throughout this group Bible study this year alone within 6 months. And that's it. Like, God has shown up in ways we never thought. And I am grateful beyond comparison for that. So I say that to say, like, you never know what could happen if you take a chance on what God gives you to do. So just do it. Like, you can do it because you're not doing it alone. You have a helper. You have support. And of course, He's going to be with you the entire way through. He will strengthen you. He will guide you. And so you're not doing this by yourself. And He'll surround you with people that'll challenge you and push you. So your why, my why, is to see people saved. But not just that, but to encourage and uplift people. And to, of course, fulfill God's plan for my life. Your why might be similar. I say pursue it with purpose. Do it on purpose. Don't be afraid of failure, because failure is just a part of the story. And always, always, always worship. Always give God the praise and glory. Always give Him the honor, because in the end, without Him, the dream would not exist. But I thank God He gave it to you, because only you could do it the way that He wants you to do it. Take pride in that, but stay humble, because He will use you. And the only way He can use you is if you submit to Him. So this is It's Just Us podcast, season 4, episode 5, the finale of season 4. We're going into breakthrough next week. Not next week, I won't be in town next week, but the following week we'll be going on with that. It's been a joy, it's been a pleasure. You guys have a great day, great evening, great afternoon, and great night. Peace. Boy, it's hot in here.